Cheers to the wish you were here. 2.4 reviewing linear equations. All right, this one's kind of going to be a long lesson just because we are doing pretty much 3 months of Algebra 1 all in 15-20 minutes. So bear with me, it's going to be kind of a long lesson today. The slope, I'll try to go as fast as I can through the stuff you already know. Remember, the slope was rise over run, and then we had a nice little formula for it. There is the formula. Remember, this is the second point, and this is the first point. Hopefully, we have point slope form. Here it is, point slope form. It's basically a point on the line and the slope of the line. The slope is right here, and the point is this x and this y. We also have slope-intercept form. This is probably the one you know the most. Y equals mx plus b. This is the slope, and this is the y-intercept. And then the last form for linear equations is standard form, or the general form. Here it is, ax plus by equals c. We don't use this one a lot, but it's good to know, and it's the most final answer you can give when you're giving these equations for linear lines. Yeah. The a has a few restrictions. It cannot be a fraction or a decimal, and the a cannot be negative. So it's called the leading coefficient. It can't be a fraction, a decimal, or negative. All right, and we'll do a few examples just to review for you guys. Okay, let's do an example. Write an equation of a line with the slope of 6 that goes through point -7, 1. So they give you a slope and they give you a point. The obvious thing to do is put it in point slope form. There it is, there's the equation. Just plug in the slope and the point. And there's your answer. Y minus 1, even though this is a positive 1, the formula had a minus already in it. And then the slope is 6, so that's why there's a 6 there. And then the x number is -7, but a negative with this negative makes it a +7. All right, again, this is review. You should have done it last year already, but there's the answer in point slope form. But what if I asked you to put it in a different form? What if I said put it in slope-intercept form? There's slope-intercept form. How do I go from this answer to y equals mx plus b? It's actually pretty simple. The first thing you do is you distribute this 6 in 6x plus 42, and then all you got to do is add 1 to the other side. And there's our answer in slope-intercept form. Y equals 6x plus 43. The slope is 6, the y-intercept is 43. What if I said put it in standard form? This form, ax plus by equals c. That's also fairly easy to do. All you have to do is get the x's and the y's on the same side. So this x needs to go over here by subtracting 6x to both sides. There you have it, -6x plus y equals 43. Oh no, we have a situation. The coefficient, the leading coefficient, -6, has a negative in it. Again, one of the rules was you are not supposed to have a negative as a leading coefficient, or a fraction, or a decimal. But in this case, you can have a negative. To get rid of it, you're going to go ahead and multiply everything straight across by a -1. And so you're going to get a positive 6x, and now a minus y, and also a -43. So when you multiply -1 across the entire equation, you will get this as your final answer. All right, so we have 3 answers, and they're all the same exact line, just written in a different form. You should be able to go from the first form all the way until the last form. Let's go ahead and do another example. Write an equation of a line through those 2 points, -10, 3 and -2, -5. So the first thing you should notice is that there is no slope. And that's kind of important for writing equations of lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and find the slope using the formula. Plugging everything in. Again, it doesn't matter what you use as the first point and what you use as the second point. As long as you stay consistent, you should get the same answer in the end, which in this case, the slope is -1. Once we get the slope, we can put it in point slope form. So the question is, which point do you use? This one or this one? Guess what? It doesn't matter. Pick one and then stick with that one. I chose the second one just because it looks like there were smaller numbers. So plugging it in, there is the answer in point slope form. Y plus 5, and there's the slope, I put it in here, -1, times the quantity of x plus 2. Okay, use only one point. Don't use both. Go ahead and change it to slope-intercept form. Distribute that -1 in. And subtract this 5 to the other side. And there's the answer in slope-intercept form. And then to get it to standard form, just add the x to the other side. And there you have it. We got the answers, all 3 answers in all 3 forms. But first we needed to find the slope. Okay. All right, let's do a few more examples, this time with intercepts. You have to remember what intercepts are. Write an equation for the line that goes through x-intercept 4 and y-intercept -2. So intercepts are points where your line crosses the x-axis and the y-axis. All right, and so they give you 4 as the x-intercept and -2 as the y-intercept. You should know that x-intercept at 4 is the same thing as 4, 0. And then the y-intercept at -2 is, I think I paused it or not. The y-intercept is at 0, -2. All right. And so now that we have 2 points, then it's like the same problem. First, find the slope. The slope is 1/2. Put it into point slope form. I think I decided to use 0, 4 as the point that goes in here. Again, it doesn't matter which point you use as long as you stay consistent and only use that point. There it is in point slope form. We're going to go ahead and change it to slope intercept form by distributing that 1/2 in and then just ignoring that 0. And then finally putting it in a standard form, bringing that 1/2 to the other side. Notice when I bring it to the other side, we have a negative and we have a fraction. To get rid of the negative and the fraction, you're going to multiply everything by -2. And when you do that, you no longer have the fraction or the negative. But then this changes to -2y, and then this last part changes to +4. Okay? So intercepts, they're just a different way of writing those points. What about horizontal and vertical lines? Remember, horizontal lines are lines that go straight across. I know that's bad. Straight across. And then vertical lines go straight up and down. No curvature, no curves. All right, so we want to write an equation of a line that goes through 0.5, -4, that is vertical. So we want a line that goes up and down, but goes through 5, -4. There's an easy rule for that. All vertical lines have the equation in the form of x equals. In this case, x equals 5. That's the value for x. And guess what? Horizontal lines, line that goes this way, all have the form y equals. In this case, y equals -4. And that's it. Equations of lines that go up and down are x equals and whatever the x value is, and horizontal lines are y equals and whatever the y value is. Okay? All right, let's do some graphs. I know you guys don't like graphs, but I love graphs. They're a big part of math. Okay, here we have y equals 1/2 x plus 7. This is the types of graphs that you did probably the most of in Algebra 1, slope-intercept form. You were told to start at the 7 on the y-axis, so right here. And then the slope is 1/2, which means go up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And that was our line. Now I want you to use a ruler. I can't use a ruler with a mouse, but there's my line. And that's it. That was the most basic type of graphing you had to do. Let's go ahead and do another one. Now I know you were given this, and I know that you were taught that if you're given something like this in standard form, to change it to slope-intercept form. Yes, that is a good thing to do, but there's an easier way. When they give it to you in standard form, just like 4x minus 2y is equal to 10, there's a super easy way to graph it without having to change it to this form. And if you still want to change it, that's fine if that's how you were taught, but I'm going to show you the shortcut way. All right, it's in standard form right now. To graph it, you're going to first cover up the y value. I did my best to cover it up. And then you just solve that simple equation. 4x is equal to 10. If you divide 4x, if you divide 4 over to the other side, you should get 2.5. And that's called the x-intercept. So 2.5 is right about here, the x-intercept. And then to find the y-intercept, you basically block out the x. And then you solve for that. Divide both sides by -2, and you should get y equals -5. -5 is right here for the y-intercept. And there you have it, our line. Again, you can use this straight edge ruler. I don't have one. I have to use my mouse. And so there it is. All right. When it's in standard form, you can find the x-intercept and the y-intercept pretty easily. Okay, so that's a shortcut. You can still change it back to this form if you like. It just is a little bit more work. Let's go ahead and graph one of these guys. X equals -5. Remember I said earlier, x equals are lines that go straight up and down. And so all you got to do is go straight up and down on negative 5. Oh, it's a little crooked. Fix it. And down. Okay. And then one more. Notice this is in point slope form. It's hard to tell, but it is in point slope form. The point being -1, comma, +3. Right here and right here. Well, not including the plus sign, but that's our point. So we're going to go ahead and plot that point. -1, +3. And then our slope is right here. Down 5 because it's -5, and then over 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then over 1, 2, 3. And then if I go down 5 over 3 again, it goes right into my face, so I won't. I'll just draw a line here. All right, so we were able to graph given all forms. The first one was slope-intercept form. The second one was standard form. The third one doesn't have a form, it's just a vertical line. And then the last one we did was point slope form. All right, so we're able to graph given any of those forms. All right, we've finally reached the last slide for the day, parallel and perpendicular lines. We'll review what parallel and perpendicular lines means when it comes to slope, but parallel means that they go side by side and they never touch. Perpendicular means they touch at exactly 90 degrees. All right, so they give you a line, 2x plus 4y is equal to 10. And they want you to write an equation that is parallel to that line through the point 7, -2. All right, so the first thing we need when we're talking about parallel and perpendicular lines is the slope. We have to extract the slope from this equation. All right. The nice easy way to do it is to put it in slope-intercept form, like you were taught. And oh, it says the parallel lines have the same slope. So to find the slope, you have to put it in slope-intercept form. There's all the work. I know I just threw it all in there just because I was trying to save time. But solve for y, bring the 2x to the other side, divide everything by 4, and we have the slope right here. The slope is -1/2. All right, now that we have the slope, to write an equation of a parallel line, you just use the same slope. There's the same slope, -1/2, but now we're using this point. 7 and -2. I know it's getting a little messy, so I'll clean it up. But that's the answer. And it didn't say what form to put it in, so I just put it in the easiest form, point slope form. To do a perpendicular line, perpendicular lines have negative reciprocal slopes. What that means is you're going to take your fraction, flip it, that's the reciprocal, and then you change the sign. That's the negative part. So if our slope is already negative, then you would turn it positive. And if it's positive, you would turn it negative. So the perpendicular slope, which this is the symbol for, perpendicular slope, is if you flip the 1/2, it becomes 2. And if you change the negative to positive, it's just +2. So you're going to use that in the slope, and then still this the point that they give you, +7, -2. All right. I know that was a long lesson. We've almost made it to 20 minutes. I'll try not to keep you any longer, so go ahead and try to do the homework. We were able to do about 2 to 3 months worth of Algebra 1 all in 20 minutes, so not too bad. And if you have questions, definitely ask, because that was a lot of information.